So it's time for me to look at another sub $200 phone. And this one here I picked up is the UMI Plus. Now, I previously viewed the UMI Super. That was okay, but it did have a horrendous rear camera on that. And the front camera actually wasn't that good either. I'm hoping things are going to improve here. So this one here I picked up from Banggood. You can see this is their typical packaging they use. It's in a polystyrene box and well wrapped up, well protected. Let's get this open. So the specs of this one here, it's got a MediaTek Helio P10 in there. And that's an octa-core CPU. And it also has a Mali T860 GPU, 4GB of RAM, 32GB of internal storage. So spec-wise, I mean, for the price isn't bad. You've got a 5.5-inch 1080p screen. And a large 4000 milliamp hour battery too, which is probably going to be hopefully good for battery life with the combination of that P10, which isn't the fastest chipset, but it's quite an efficient chipset. Okay, so well packaged up, definitely. Bundled up there. Alright, I can see that the seal has been broken or it's come off. It's actually got a clear top on there, so not actually bad packaging there from them. It's a little bit nicer than normal. So here's the mobile that feels rather bulky and quite heavy actually. I see they have a pre-applied screen protector, even though this is meant to have Gorilla Glass 3 on there, and it does have those 2.5D curved edges on the glass. So along the bottom there is the Type-C port, loudspeaker, microphone, antenna lines either side. Now this definitely looked a lot thinner in their press images. I wasn't expecting this to be this thick. I will check the thickness of that in just a second. So there's a 13 megapixel phase detection autofocus camera. That's a Samsung lens. We do have dual tone LED flashes there. Secondary mic. On the top, of course, is the 3.5mm headphone jack. Another antenna line. So it's alright. I mean, it's quite sturdy. There's a front facing 5 megapixel camera. And right here is our fingerprint reader. So look what else is included in the box. I was going to say, is that a case? No, that's not a case. Unfortunately not. So a USB Type-C cable there in white. And an EU charger. This is the SIM tool. Just have a look at the charger. So this does support fast charging. And it is rated to 12 volts, 1.2 amps there. And that is what is on the back of the box, just an outline of the specs there. So Android 6.1 and rest of it I've mentioned, apart from the fact that it does also take a micro SD card on there, which is really good. And you can see the bands there for those interested. There are the bands there for 4G. So pause the video if you want to read all of those bands, the frequencies there. So here's a quick look at the SIM tray. You can see that it can take a nano SIM here and you can insert a second SIM or your micro SD card, and that supports up to, I think it is the maximum capacity. So there's 200 gigabytes or whatever it is now, 256. And what looks like a power button right there, that isn't actually a power button. That one there is a quick launch quick launch button, sorry. So you can just assign something there in application, but I'll show that later on. And on the right side, we've got metal power and volume buttons. It's good they're made out of metal, so they should be a lot more durable than plastic buttons that we often sometimes see in this price range. So I'll just get that screen protector off. Oh, the whole thing's come right off. So anyway, it's got Gorilla Glass, so it doesn't really need it, I think. Now, just check out the weight, because some of these companies actually fake the weight. They claim about 10 grams less. And it comes in at 191 grams. So that's why I said it felt a little bit bulky in the beginning, a little bit heavy, because it's really not the lightest. And the thickness of it. So a rather thick 9mm there, and that's without the camera hump. The camera hump is about an extra additional millimeter or so. And that brings it up to 10. So I just wanted to point out that this back here, the backing plate, that is metal, the sides are metal, but this strip along here for the antennas, top and bottom, that's actually made out of plastic there. Alright, so let's get this powered up. Just the first impressions of the screen there, 1080p screen, 5.5 inches. Looks alright, not bad. Now, UMI always use these stock ROMs, which I actually quite like. It's a good change from using MIUI or the other UIs you normally see. So we've got language options. Of course, you can go through that. That will have all of the standard Android 6.0 languages in there. SIM cards. Skip this. That actually looks like quite a nice panel. Not bad. I will quickly just set this up. So you first, like any other Android phone, you first have to put a pin in there. So I'll use my super secure pin number that I always seem to use on these videos. Alright, so now I need to scan my thumb or finger. Normally it's about 10 times. Alright, so I think that was 10 times. I actually wasn't counting. You can of course add the same finger or another finger. I think you're allowed up to 5 fingerprints. Alright, so here we go. In the OS here, and yes, stock Android. I just want to turn the screen brightness down a little, because that is a little bit too powerful for my camera's settings. So you have a good look at the screen. Looks quite nice. I mean, the blacks on there, they seem reasonably deep. Viewing angles, IPS is a sharp panel they have used. So a proper brand panel. Not bad at all. For the price of about 180 US, I think this is selling for 170. So I have a quick look at what applications we have. So it really doesn't have any extra bloat in there apart from the, you know, the normal Google stuff we see in here, like play movies. You might not even want that. I never use that kind of stuff. Backup and recovery, Gmail's on there, of course, flashlight, that might be handy. FM radio, because the hardware does support that. Play Store is there, of course. And I just want to quickly find settings and have a look at storage. And a few in here. Okay, so here we have the notification LED. Free memory, we have 2.7 free. 25 gigabytes almost, so 24.6.8 gigabytes are free there. That isn't too bad. That gives quite a bit of space there to play around with. And of course you can expand on that as mentioned, because we do have micro SD card support. Now I just want to quickly check the fingerprint reader, so lock it and see. Oh, okay, what's going on? I think I need to set that up again. It wasn't happy with that. Try again. Okay. Alright, it's not working every single time, but that could be my fault. I did rush that. Maybe I'll add my same finger 2 or 3 times and see later on. I will mention that in the full review if it's working good or not for me there. Now, a quick look at the camera. So, stock camera app here, shutter rate. I'll go outside now and take a short sample video from the rear camera, but just have a look before I do that at the settings. So here we have capture mode. There's a lot of things in here actually. Zero shutter lags on, anti-flicker, and video mode. Only 1080p is maximum resolution, so video quality can go right up to 1080p. And not that much in the way of options here really. Audio mode, normal. Meeting, so I don't know what that would do. Probably because it's just multi-directional microphones to help pick up audio, perhaps a little better there. And pro photos, so this would be the manual mode, yes. Although, why is it? It's in portrait for some reason. So we can control the white balance, ISO, exposure, color mode, this must be. Oh, there we go. So that looks very similar to what I remember on my Windows phone that I had for a little while. You had those sliders. So you can adjust, ISO goes right up to 1600, exposure, your contrast, brightness, saturation. So have a look now and just take a few snaps outside while it's still nice and sunny. So a very quick look at the camera now. I set it to 1080p. And see how the exposure is handling things. Now normally in this price range you don't get wonderful cameras, but the UMI Super had quite an awful camera. I'm hoping they have at least improved things with this one. So have a look and see how the autofocus is working, or if it's going to work. Seems to be. Does have face detection autofocus, which should make things a little faster. See if there are any artifacts in the sky. Final, very quick look at the front-facing camera and see how the quality is. So I'm in the shade at the moment. I'm just going to walk over and stand in the sun and let's see how it adjusts to the brightness. Does a good job, or is it overexposing my face here in the light? So that quick launch button, or the shortcut button they call it, I think it is, you can set and assign an application to that one. So to do that is just simply find the setting here. I think it is listed under, there we go, shortcut button settings. So at the moment when I press this, it will launch the camera, and if I hold it down, it will then launch, or set, sorry, silent mode. So it's handy. So if you wanted, for example, you're always in WhatsApp, then you could set that to WhatsApp when you have it installed, of course. So just to demonstrate that, so there I'm back in the home menu, so tap that and the camera will launch straight away. And tapping that again, it closes it, goes back to home. So it's handy. You can configure your most used app to that button. Okay, so that's my unboxing there and my first look at the UMI Plus. Now, first impressions, it felt and does feel a little heavy. Well, it is really, but it does have that larger battery in there, so it's to be expected. Now, the build quality of it, mostly metal. We do have the plastic on the top and bottoms for the antenna reception, I think, even though they do have the antenna lines here. And it is plastic just along this part there, but overall, not too bad for the price of about $180 there. Screen looks good. Seems nice and bright. It's Sharp, IPS panel from Sharp, and the rear camera seems to be an improvement over the UMI Super's horrific camera that it had when I tested that one out with my review. And we do get some nice little features, like we do have, of course, the Type-C port on the bottom and quick charging, which is an additional bonus now. Now, the Fingerprint Reader, I'm going to need to test that out a little bit more. I did rush scanning my thumb there, so maybe that was why it hasn't been unlocking it. It's only been unlocking, I would say, a good 70% of the time. So I will investigate that more. I will be installing a lot of applications, games, run my normal benchmarks, put this through my paces, and be back with the review within a week or two, and check out and see if this is an ideal phone for the price. So hopefully I will catch you back in the review.